Let's talk about declaring variables. Now, declaring and using variables is something we're very familiar with from our other programming courses. But JavaScript is a little bit different, so let's look at how they do that. The way they do it is with a keyword var, V-A-R, and then the variable name, and then assign it a value. And you can just declare a variable without a value too. That's allowed. Variable names consist of letters, numbers, the underscore, and a $sign. And variable names can start with any of those except the number. So letter, underscore, or $sign can start the name. The names are case sensitive, so that's an important detail to know that that's case sensitive, and you cannot use any of the JavaScript keywords as a name for a variable. There's a variety of different variable types. Notice that the type is not specified when you declare a variable. You don't have to specify the type. And it actually turns out that a single variable can contain values of different types. So at one point it can contain a number, and then later you can assign it a string, and now it will contain a string. So it has this what's called weakly typed language, and that variable can change types and can store different types of data. So that's kind of novel, right? You may or may not have been exposed to a weakly typed language before. Here's some of the general types that can be allowed. So numerics, so any numbers, and then strings, right? Text string, and we put these in quotes. Boolean, that's when it can have the value true or false. An object, these are more complex data types that have both data and functionality packaged together. And then null, this special type of, this special value that indicates it has no value. And that's what the null does. So let's go ahead and play just a little bit with variables. So notice up here what we did is we got an element and then we called inner HTML. Well, we could have done that with a variable, and often if you're going to refer to this element more than once, then you might want to do this. So if we define a variable and we say that this is the date div, and that's just a name, right? I can make up any name I want for the variable within those rules that are outlined. And I can set it equal to this element. I'm going to copy it and put it here. And now what I've done is I've gone and gotten this element, right? And that's going to return, if we go find it, the date now element right here. It gets this div, that whole element, and it's an object, right? It's one of the objects in the document. And it returns that object, and we store that object in this variable. Now we can use this variable in place of that object. So right here where we use that object, instead of getting that object again, we can simply use that variable and say, this object set the inner HTML property, right? And so this is a way that a variable can be used. Yep. So here we define it, give it a value, and then we use it.